I will do roll call. There are a couple members that are on Zoom, and so we'll be recognizing them as well. I think we'll be able to hear them. So, Mr. Atkins, I believe on Zoom. I'll check on that. Mrs. Greta Campbell emailed. She's in excused absence today. Ms. D'Alessandro? And we'll check to see if... Oh, Ms. D'Alessandro?
I'm here through Zoom.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. We have you now.
Thank you.
Mr. Elliott? Mr. Joe Mazurkowitz had an excused absence this evening. Mr. Joseph Mitchell?
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Harlan Parrish?
I'm present by Zoom.
Thank you. Mr. Cole Peacock?
Present.
Thank you. Matthew Opsdorf?
Here.
Thank you. Jay Santos?
Here.
Mr. Schallenbarger is on an absence today. Mrs. Sia Sherman? Here. Mr. Shimp?
Present.
Mr. Chris Semino? And Mr. John Shannon?
Present.
All right. Thank you. Roll has been called, and I believe we do have a quorum.
Very good, thank you. The minutes were mailed to or emailed to the committee last Friday, and I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve. Second.
Did you get motions and seconds? Cole and, any comments on the minutes? Any corrections needed? All in favor of approval of the minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. I'd now open the floor for public comment and remind the public that please don't look for responses from us. We appreciate any input you might have, and if you would limit your comments to 3 minutes or less, we'd appreciate it. Thank you. Anyone from the public wish to make comment? Seeing no one, I'll move on with the meeting. The next agenda item is our proposed meeting dates for 2024. They are on the agenda that has been furnished to each committee member. Those people zooming in, do I need to read them to you? Would that be helpful, or do you have them in your packet?
I've got it in the packet, Steve.
Okay.
I have it, Steve. Thank you.
Okay, good deal. Well, then I won't read them all. Do these fit everybody with the board okay with that?
I'm okay.
6 p.m. hold for the time frame seems to work traffic-wise, not all that badly. Well, let's have a motion to approve. I'd appreciate a motion to approve those 4 meeting dates.
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. ISSOC Chair Report. Have some things to report. The community presentations, we have completed 4 community presentations so far. Harlan Parrish handled the Estero leadership class. I handled the Horizon Council, the Panhellenic Council, and also the Lee County Public Schools Foundation. The report that I got was that Harlan did a much better job than I did on the other 3, but I also, I know that I solicited feedback from people during those or after those reports on, could we give you more information and how could we do better? I didn't have any suggestions. Harlan, I haven't circled around with you, but generally, I think the presentation was well received. And, so evidently we have something that appears to be right. So, good. Any comments regarding that? I mean, you all have seen the slides and that kind of thing too. Did anybody get any comments?
Steve, I saw the presentation at the foundation. I thought it was excellent. I think it was very well received. Thank you.
Good, good. Moving on, I want to share with you 4 organizations that the district has identified that we may want to have presentations with, and ask the committee if any of you would volunteer to put your name related to that organization this evening. so that Irma Lancaster could then work with you on setting up a date that fits so that you could make a presentation. The 4 organizations are the Rotary Club of Fort Myers, the Rotary Club of North Fort Myers, Rotary Estero, and Rotary of Cape Coral. Anybody want to volunteer for any of those 4, or do we just?
I'll take the Rotary of the Cape Coral. I know some
Okay.
people over there.
You've got that one?
Yeah.
Good. Irma, are you taking notes?
They're taking notes for me.
I have notes.
You got it. And we're recording, so we got it.
That was Jay.
Mr. Chair, I'll be happy to help in Estero.
You'll take Estero?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Semino's got
Okay,
Estero.
Cole, you beat me to the punch because I'm down here. I'm happy to do that too, or help you out if you'd like. Just let me know.
Happy to have you, Harlan.
Well, you guys can't each take half. The 2 of you, I'll tell you what, Harlan has done 1 so far. Why don't you take it if you can't make a date work with Irma and all that good stuff? I think it's important that we spread this around.
Fair enough.
So we've got Rotary, North Fort Myers and Estero covered. How about Fort Myers and Cape Coral?
I can do
We have Cape Coral and Estero
I'm
covered.
hearing all kinds of volunteers. Where, Sia?
I said we have Cape Coral and Estero covered. We need North Fort Myers and Fort Myers.
Excuse me, I've got it backwards.
I can do Fort Myers too.
You've got Fort Myers, Cole Peacock's got Fort Myers. Can anybody grab North Fort Myers? Put me down for North Fort Myers. And Irma, if you would contact those 4 individual people and work with them on dates and everything else. I can tell those of you who have not done the presentation, staff's really done a good job of having it set up. You've got the mouse, you've got support, you know where you're going in advance. I mean, the staff support for that effort has been really good. So they've filled the bill really well. So they send it to you in advance so you can rehearse for hours at your home and all that sort of thing also.
Mr. Shim, if I may,
Yes.
if you cannot make a date work, then I will be your alternate for that one.
Okay. You made my day.
That would be easy.
Thanks.
How did he get that, but I couldn't get Harlan?
Same
What's
way
that?
You got out of being secretary, that's how that happened.
It all comes back around.
Right? Karma.
Next item on the agenda is report from our new school board member joining our group, Jada Langford Fleming. And Jada?
I think she was having issues.
Pardon me?
She was having issues getting on the Zoom.
Getting on the Zoom. I'll tell you what, Amy, if Jada joins us and is able to get on the Zoom, let's stick her wherever she comes into the agenda. Is that okay? Can we interrupt the agenda? You know, when we finish the preceding item, then we'll roll her in for her report. I don't want to just skip her because she's not able to log in.
Okay.
For everybody's information, we gave and just to refresh your memory, we gave a board report in April. I gave a board report as to our progress. There was also a report recently on October 25th given by Susan Millay, so that's in process and written reports are being prepared. So the next item is the communications update, and I'll turn it over to Irma.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be back with you. I hope you all have wonderful plans for the holiday. So I wanted to come to this meeting specifically because I wanted to share with you everything that the team has been doing in November specifically to celebrate the 5-year anniversary of the passing of the sales tax. So hopefully you saw some of the communications we put out. I want to start with just always with our website that, as you know, we started to update last year with your feedback on what was important to the community. And I know that you all love analytics, so I bring them for you every time. So since this fiscal year began, we've had 12,000 unique views to the page. The most visited one, again, is the capital versus operational funds page. That is the one that seems to be more popular with everyone that visits. The second most popular are the financial audits. The third is the report, if you would believe it, and the sales tax dashboard, both for the district and the individual schools, is actually in 5th place. So while that is what we hear more often when we're out in the community, people want to know what's happening at their school. The analytics on our website are telling us that most people want to know about what the funds are and where they're going, specifically what capital and what operational means. So I think that's important data for you to be aware of. Speaking of, I mentioned the annual report that has been updated with 5-year information. We did place it on our website, and I have physical copies. We've been passing these out during the community presentations. Would love it for you all to take a copy, and if you want to take extras and pass them around, we'll be more than happy to bring you some more. And we'll have those at the future community presentation so that every attendee can receive one as well. And just reach out to Amy or Anissa if you want additional copies, and we'll be happy to get those for you. Another area that we try to always update on are video updates. So we did do a 5-year update on the website. Hopefully you all saw it, but it is a couple of minutes long, so I'm not going to play that for you, but I am going to go to the video playlist because we did have a 30-second version of the video that we used to promote with paid advertising on local TV stations and online platforms. So I will play that because it is shorter. And
Over the last 5 years, the half-cent sales tax has made so much possible. Our students are safer.
Sorry, it's not up there.
Our students are in better maintained schools because of you.
Let me ask Adam. Adam, can you put that up? Okay, well, it's on our YouTube channel, and if he's able to pull it up, then we'll... Oh, something's happening. All right, it's 30 seconds, so here we go. Let's try this again.
Over the last 5 years, the half-cent sales tax has made so much possible. Our students are safer because of you. Our students are in better maintained schools because of you. Our students are using the latest technology because of you. And our students are in new or renovated schools because of you. Every day, the school district of Lee County is putting your tax dollars to work for student success. Thank you for your support. Most people have no clue that over the last 5 years, the half-cent sales tax has made so much possible.
It's so good, I want to play it over and over. I exited out of the website, but we do have our full video playlist on our YouTube, so feel free to peruse that and share when you're able. And speaking of paid advertising, I hope that some of you saw some of our ads that we were able to also publish in our local newspapers. This is the News Press. We actually had several ads basically with the same message that you just heard on the video, but it's, telling the community thank you for each and every one of those items. So hopefully you saw it, but here's some proof. See? And as Mr. Ship mentioned, we continue to support the community presentations. I do want to reiterate that for those of you that are volunteering, there will always be a staff member there with you to assist with answering questions or providing additional information. And that is the communications report. I'm happy to take questions if there are any.
Any questions for Irma? Irma, did you say that the updated report is available tonight for us to have one?
They're right here.
Okay.
You can.
Just passing them out to everybody?
No problem. I will take them down to the table. Okay, or you can.
That'd be great.
Thank you so much. Yes, and it is available also on our website, but the physical copies are here. And again, happy to provide you with additional copies. Oh, I did forget to mention, we also did a podcast with Dr. Desmore with a 5-year update, as well as a video from the superintendent that we put out to all of our stakeholders. And that was actually also published in an op-ed in the News Press and the Cape Coral Breeze. So hopefully you had the opportunity to see that.
All righty, any other questions for Irma? Next on the agenda is the presentation regarding the audit of the ISSOC program, and Dr. Desamores is going to handle that. Amy?
I should have stepped out for a moment. Are you? You're out. Are you construction? Oh, yeah, okay. That'll be Mr. Frederick Ross.
There's Amy. Frederick, she's gonna get there. Thank you.
Yeah, Laura, yeah, you can go.
Amy, Amy, you're on if you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready, yes. No. My apologies. So, I'm on for the audit. So, thank you. Recently, on June 30th of 2023, according to the audit report date, RSM did conduct, or RSM is the board's internal auditor, the company that the board uses for as an internal audit function specifically for the board. And it contracted with RSM to perform an internal audit of the sales tax function. The objective of the audit itself is stated in the audit. The primary objective of the internal audit was to obtain an understanding of the district's half-cent sales tax program and to perform an internal audit of the process of compiling financial reports provided by the district to the ISSOC. And as well, they perform testing to validate whether information provided to ISSOC is complete and accurate, and testing of related procurements and expenditures for compliance with applicable policies. So during that process, those are the types of things that the audit, as what the objective of the audit as stated. The audit did come back with several observations and several findings that we just wanted to discuss with you today. So each of you received a copy. Each of the observations we'll go through and then talk about what the district has done to address those observations. So the first observation was that the district failed to report quarterly to the board as is presented in the policy, or as required in the Sales Surtax Oversight Committee policy, that we update the board quarterly as to the work of the ISSOC and information on the sales tax. There were several times where the district did not do that, several times related during the time period related to COVID, during the time period related to hurricane. There were several times in that period of time where we missed a quarterly update to the board. And so in response, we did agree that we were not in compliance with the policy in those particular instances, and that we rewrote the policy, that we would rewrite the policy, that it would be a quarterly update to the board, one at least annually from an ISSOC committee member or chair, and then the other quarterly updates could be in person with the board or a written update. And so the new policy is reflective of that update, and as Mr. Schimpf mentioned earlier, we have updated the board quarterly from that point in time of the observation. A report was done in April, report was done in September, and then a report also was just done on December 5th to the board, so just on Tuesday. So we did our management action plan to the audit in response to that was that we would come up with our schedule and would revise the policy, which we have done, and the board adopted the new policy, and that we would from that point on report quarterly, and that we would expect to have completed that action by October 31st of this year, 2023, which we have done. We've reported quarterly as to that policy and will continue to do so. The second observation had to do with the governance and the documentation of the Capital Committee. The audit noted that the Capital Committee, which is a committee internal to the district operations, the Capital Committee is the committee that gets together with representatives from Operations Division, Financial Division, Academic Services Division, and Technology Division in order to and academics as well, I'm not sure if I said them, in order to come together as an internal committee and determine projects that will be or recommended to be completed inside of the district's 5 and 10-year capital plan, which includes the uses of various capital funding sources, including the sales tax. So the audit did go into the processes of the Capital Committee, and one observation and recommendation of the audit was that the district should develop a formal charter for the Capital Committee that should state certain things as listed in the audit, and that we have a better documentation or detailed documentation of those decisions that are made inside of the Capital Committee. And so management's response to that, or the district's response to that we agreed that we would write and adopt a charter for the Capital Committee as they noted, with all of the things noted in there, and that we would complete that action by September 30th of 2023, and we have done that. We wrote a capital charter for the Capital Committee, and that charter was adopted by the committee mid-September. I believe the date was September 16th. So that was the second observation. The third observation inside of the audit talked about the expenditure reporting and reconciliation. Specifically, what they talked about was they found that on the website, they did know that on the information on the website, there was some discrepancy between what was reported on the website and what was in the ERP system. The website was actually underreporting in some instances expenses that were attributable to the sales tax. When we looked into that, when the district looked into that, we did find that there was a coding error inside of the website that was causing the expenditures not to roll up and report accurately on the website. The audit notes, and we note as well, that there were no inaccuracies in the financial reporting that was given to the Independent Sales Tax Oversight Committee, that those reporting of expenditures were completely accurate. It was the information on the website, because of the coding error, that was inaccurate and that the district needed to fix. We did respond that we had would look into, find the coding error, make sure that we corrected that, and then put a new process in place where quarterly we were verifying the accuracy of, when we create the financial statements for the Sales Surtax Oversight Committee, that we would also review the information on website and make sure that that information was accurate and matching up to the financial statements that we were producing and sharing on paper. The budget department staff, specifically Matt Acosta, which you'll hear from momentarily in the reporting for the projects, has already completed that action. So that action was already completed before the auditors had concluded the audit. When they asked us the question, we found that there was an inaccuracy, we fixed it. So that's already been fixed, and moving forward, that information is being verified accurately quarterly, and was just done a few days ago, that quarterly verification, when we were preparing the information to share with you. So our budget department, and specifically Matt, has taken care of that. There was an observation number 4, and that was about expenditure approvals. This observation talked about, we do have an internal process for how specific expenditures are supposed to be approved when they're using sales tax funding. It's a more increased level of oversight, approval, and review. And so in one case, the auditor did note in the sample that they were taking, that they were testing, there was one instance in where a requisition was approved initially under a different funding source, and then that funding source, after the approval, was changed to sales tax as we were adjusting budgets and making sure that we were in alignment. And then upon that change, the requisition then did not go through the additional or increased approval process that we typically have for sales tax. So they did note that we had the one instance where we had a anomaly in how it was approved. And so our response to that was that we would analyze how our processes are working electronically within our requisition approval system, and that we would update our system to make sure that it was going to follow our process even upon a change. But we also noted that we would analyze what we currently use as our internal process and just analyze whether we felt like we needed to change that based on the amount of time that we've been in our process with sales tax and the different players that are in place now, and update our process for that. So we have not completed with that. We are in the process of doing that now. And then the fifth and last observation was about vendor insurance documentation. The auditor noted that in one instance, when they were analyzing some information related to procurement of sales tax items, that is a solicitation that we had done for a project that was going to use sales tax fund, the checklist talked about that we used for procurement talked about a vendor making sure to prove to us that they had insurance products with a certain AM Best rating. And they noted within the audit that we had not performed that particular step. Our management response, or the district's response, was we do understand that a checklist was provided to them and that particular step wasn't performed in that instance, but we also explained that in that instance, that particular step was not needed. The checklist really referred to when we are purchasing insurance product from a vendor, a specific insurance product, that's when we check for the AM Best rating. We do not check for it in other circumstances. So really the item that was on the checklist in that particular instance was not applicable, right? So we updated the checklist to make sure that we had that instance in there only for the instances in which we require it. And in that particular case, we did not. So that was the extent of the findings or the observations that the audit pointed out. I do want to point out that specifically on page 7 of the audit in the report that they gave us, as part of the internal audit, they did issue a survey to members of the ISSOC, and all responses were anonymous, but they did report back to us that 100% of members confirmed that they're receiving the information that they need from the district in order to effectively reflect expenditures from sales tax. 100% of you felt that the district is a good steward of handling the revenues. 100% of you felt that the ISSOC is functioning effectively. So I think that those are very important. That's very important information and very important statistics that they put into the audit. So overall, I'll leave to each of you to and the public to draw their conclusions out of the audit as it is laid out here. But we were happy to take on the work of working with RSM in order for them to complete the audit. And truly, based on what is here, the conclusion that we take out of it based on the information that they presented here is that, yes, there were some procedural issues that the district needed to clear up, but the sales tax funds are being utilized effectively and exactly and specifically for the purposes that we outlined that we would use them for to the public, that we have been true to that, that our committee, our oversight committee works well in order to independently attest to that. And we're very proud of the work that we've done thus far, and we'll continue to work very hard to take on the same work and produce the same product that we have been producing.
I'd like to add a couple comments because Amy and I sat earlier and reviewed the report. And And Amy, I apologize to you, I forgot to bring up one of the three, but I'll bring it up and then you'll find out about it. It might be a surprise. On page 14 of the audit, right underneath the chart, there's a sentence that says, "It is important to note that no inaccuracies were not found in the data reported to the ISSOC." And that double negative could be converted into a positive, that there were inaccuracies, and that was of concern to me. Amy's going to go back to RSM and say, guys, we want you to correct that sentence. We believe that it should read, "It is important to note that no inaccuracies were found in the data." So, and I think that's a detail that deserves being cleaned up. Whoever wrote that sentence didn't have their act together. Sorry if you're listening. Another item, and I would pass this on to the committee and just give you a recommendation and see how you feel about it. It was reported in here that 43% of our members felt that we were doing that, let's see, the wording is 43% of responding ISAC members felt that there are things that the district can do better or differently regarding utilizing or monitoring half-cent funds. I'd like to request that if you all have those thoughts and those concerns, that you take them to Amy and ask her, work with her and her department on what can we do better on an individual basis rather than a collective basis. I don't think it's productive for all of us to process those things. I'd like to see it go in the form of, you know, I've got this idea, I'd like to see this work, can you do that, can you fill this bill? If then it becomes a large enough concern and you can't solve it at that level, then I'd like you to bring it forward to the committee so that we collectively could make the decision, yes, we think that's significant enough that it needs to be handled in a different fashion. But so if any of you responded in that fashion that you weren't comfortable or felt there were things that could be done differently, please take them to Dr. Desamours, correspond with her regarding or meet with her. She's been very open with me, and I think you'll have the same experience. So, and Amy, are you okay with approaching it that way?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Third, looking ahead, I'd like to recommend that the committee endorse and pass a motion to recommend to the board that the board approves the audit schedules when RSM comes in, and that this audit be conducted in the beginning, again, of the 8th year of the tax being in place. Takes 3 or 4 months to complete the audit. If you assume that the audit, as almost any audit of a program this large, will find some items, you've got a corrective period and a response period that has to happen for the district. And if our intent is that we will recommend to the board that they continue the half-cent sales tax, I believe it will be valuable to have in place a more current audit than just letting this be the only one, and probably that 8th year is about right in its timing. So that being said, give me your thoughts.
Fair. Yeah, that is the right place to do it. Gives you time in front of the election to make sure it's communicated well.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Anybody against doing that? I mean, it will require an expenditure of funds to engage our RSM, and the board would have to spend the money from their, I believe it comes from the administrative budget. But I think it's a healthy thing to do.
Well, it's money spent to show exactly what you're doing, what you voted for, where it's going. I mean, that's money well spent.
Yeah.
Is there an internal auditor of the system today? Or do we retain RSM to come in and do internal audit?
Well, our internal normal controls within the administration continually, I hesitate to use the word audit, reviews their work and checks it for accuracy, and they do the best they can to bring us what they believe is accurate. The only audit as such has been this audit that you see in front of you. And my recommendation is that we tell the board, we'd like to see you do this again in the 8th year.
I just think that the total amount of this is significant in the budget. If there's an internal audit of of the system, that some sort of testing could be done every year on their work, in their work plan, rather than just rely on an external auditor every 3 or 5 years.
Amy, do you do internal testing administratively for your accounting systems routinely?
Specifically for sales tax, no.
We do them for other school-type related funds, not specifically for sales tax. But we certainly could talk about that, and also if it was something, now RSM does serve as the board's internal auditor, right? So if there was something, say that the committee wanted to request as an annual job for RSM in order to, independently do that, that is an option.
So the board has RSM as an internal auditor. Does the system have an internal audit function?
Yes.
You define a work plan every year for that internal audit.
Yes.
I would just say that it should be part of the internal audit work plan. There's some testing on a year-to-year basis. It doesn't have to be a full audit like RSM.
Amy, do you have you've got the capacity in-house to run a review on an annual basis, picking 8 expenditures at random and running that level of check. Could you do that?
Yes.
Report the results of that to us?
Yes. Yes, annually, our internal audit staff could do on a test basis, something to that effect.
Can we ask you to bring to our next meeting a recommendation as to how you'd tell us how you'd fill that concern at the next meeting?
Yes.
You okay with that, Chris?
Yeah, and it's
I hear
to
you.
determine the internal audit plan of the system. I'm just suggesting that 3 years from now, I'd hate for us to miss an opportunity to look at it on an annual basis, even if it's a small test.
I agree. No problem.
Okay. Okay.
So you'll bring us back a recommendation to our next meeting that on an annualized basis, we'll do a staff internal audit, but a specific, not audit, but a review in order to double check the procedures and the accuracy of what you've been reporting to us.
Yes. In other words, I hear you asking for kind of what the audit test plan would look like if we were going to do that internally.
Internal controls are never a bad thing.
Yep.
So,
Okay. All right. Understood.
could I have a motion for the 8th year audit?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, John Shannon made the motion that we recommend to the board that they commission RSM or the current auditor in the 8th year of the sales tax to repeat the audit process that we just had. A second on that?
Second.
Cole, thank you. Any other discussion or comment on that?
I just don't know if it's necessary, but I'm not opposed to it, but maybe.
Hi, I'm so sorry to interrupt. This is Adam in the back room. I just want to remind all the committee members to please speak into their microphones. The broadcast is not picking up most of the committee members' comments, and it's probably hard for the Zoom participants to hear you as well. Just a friendly reminder. Thank you so much. Sorry to interrupt.
Chris, I think if you just move it closer to you, you'll be okay.
Can you hear me now? No, it's fine to do that, but we may want to determine next year that we should do it after the 6th year or the 7th year or every year. So putting it in a placeholder out in year 8 is fine, but
Thank you.
reserving the right to change that to 7 or 6 or 9.
I don't think it would preclude us from taking, recommending something more frequent, but it would get it on the process. Anything else? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Review of sales tax funded projects, and Frederick, thanks for being there. You came right up. We appreciate it. Frederick Ross.
We might interrupt him yet again.
One more time, because we do have Ms. Jada Langford Fleming on Zoom. So I don't know if you wanted to ask her for an update.
Great. Jada, if you could give a report from the board to the committee. Thank you. Any comments?
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Dr. Besmore has done such a great job, as well as Mr. Rock. And yes, I have a couple of updates. The the Fort Myers Beach School for one, which was a huge celebration that we cut the ribbon yesterday or 2 days ago, and
I'm feeling like you've dropped off, Jada. Have you dropped off?
can you hear me okay now?
We've got you now, Jada.
Okay. Yeah, so just a celebration on behalf of the students of Lee County and the teachers. We were able to cut the ribbon on the Fort Myers Beach School 2 days ago, allowing students to come in there. I know that was a different bucket, but we do have lots of construction. If anybody wanted to watch the briefing, just that first tidbit from Tuesday's board meeting, there is a list of items that have been updated there. But Dr. Desamore is doing a fabulous job at updating you on all of that, as well as Frederick Ross. And that's all I have.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
My apologies before I am unable to speak again, unfortunately. The board members all have about 4 events all happening at the same time tonight. So we're sort of spread out and then having to leave this to go to a student program. So my apologies if I have to jump off a little earlier than normal, but thank you all for being here. I appreciate you.
Jada, I think I can speak for the whole committee that we're just tickled all of you are working that hard.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you all. You all are the volunteers pouring into your hours that you could be spending with your family and doing this. So I appreciate your time.
Christmas. Thank you for your report. Frederick?
Ready for me?
You're up.
All right, I'm ready now. Good evening, Frederick Ross, Executive Director over and operations over our construction, maintenance, and planning departments. On behalf of them, I want to thank you for your continued support for the ISSOC committee. If we can get the presentation back up. Have a few slides to update you on our construction projects. Separated into 3 phases. We have our procurement phase. Do you know how we get this full screen? Okay.
There you go. Oh, no, from current slide. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. First phase is the procurement phase. This is when we're working with our procurement department to competitively solicit the project and scoping the project. Here we have 2 projects currently in that procurement phase, both HVAC renovation projects. I know it's a nice, cool day today, but on most days here in South Florida, we're chasing HVACs, and these are 2 examples of projects where those systems have reached the end of their life, and we've been constant service orders and service requests, so we're replacing those systems. Next is our projects in our design phase, typically with either architect or MEP design professional. These consist of First Bonita Springs Elementary, one of our older schools in the South Zone. A lot of portables on that campus, so architects are looking to really revitalize that campus and rebuild some of those buildings. Additionally, Cape Coral Technical College has kind of restarted. They had a pause because the Hector Caparetta temporary campus is sitting behind their campus. So that project was paused, but now it's regoing and has some other design options using other parts of the campus. And then also 2 traffic studies are going on in the design phase when they're out there doing the studies and counting the cars and the traffic. And then last phase are those actually in the construction phase, several major renovations like Riverdale High School and Fort Myers Tech, but also you see some other renovations, HVAC, a roof, South Fort Myers High School roof is on there. That one has reached the end of its warranty period. Even over the past 2 years, a lot of warranty calls. So staff is happy to get that one replaced. And then also you see our Franklin Park Elementary School rebuild. Excited that'll be our next opening after Ms. Fleming's talked about board member Fleming's talked about Fort Myers Beach. Franklin Park will be our next opening coming up next August. And that was the construction project update. Any questions?
Is that the total project cost or the sales tax coverage of the project? 69 million.
That is the total for that phase. You see underneath it says Phase 2A, so that is the total for that phase. There were some other phases to that project.
And that's all ISSOC covered? 69 million?
Yes.
Yes.
To date.
To date, yes, that is correct.
Frederick, I don't see Cypress Lake Middle School renovation / replacement or whatever it is on the list. What's the status of that?
The status of the project itself?
Yeah, I think, yes.
The phase
one, yes. Yes, so that one has, the phase 1 project cost has gone to the board for that one, so they're beginning the design phase on that one.
Okay, all right, just curious.
That's not a sales tax, that one.
Any other questions?
Okay. Undetermined.
I can report briefly that ahead of the report to the Panhellenic Council, I made a point of going out to Franklin Park Elementary and being the boss of the company that's running it 15 years ago, they welcomed me wholeheartedly, I'm sure. Basically walked in and said, you know, you guys tell me where, I'm going to this meeting and I want to know, tell me the truth and let's look at the wall and are you on schedule or off schedule? How's this thing going? And we spent about an hour together and that project is on schedule and exciting that that has a component to it that the committee may not be aware that the United Way is going to put a satellite facility in the school. There'll be 2 separate entrances, one to the school and the other one to all the United Way services. So that's kind of a neat thing that the district's glued together. Yeah, it is awesome. I mean, it's really going to be special.
Yeah.
So, but
Including a health clinic with Lee.
Pardon me?
Including a health clinic with Lee Health.
Yes, yeah, and Lee Health has a facility that's in with the United Way entrance, right? Yeah, big deal for the community. Safety, security, and technology projects update, DJ?
Why it's active.
I think we purposely don't give the staff an agenda so it's a surprise to them when we call their name. We do that on purpose.
I got it.
Hi, I'm the Assistant Director of Safety, Security, Emergency Management. My name is Dorn J. Betta, or DJ, whatever's easier. I think you're adjusted to speaking to Mr. Dave Newland.
Could you move a little closer to your microphone, please?
I can. It might not help. I'm fighting a cold, so I'm trying not to get too close to Dr. Desmore. But I believe you're adjusted to speaking to my supervisor, Mr. Newland, who's out of town this evening. So we are approaching, and pleased to say they're in the multi-phase rollout of the Open Gate project. And there are currently 50 schools activated on target as projected.
Go ahead.
And we have 33 out to roll out. Some more questions? Sorry, do I have any
And I'll
questions?
remind the committee that we don't really require a lot of detail of the security projects at this level because we don't want to reveal them to the public, but the weapons detection system's obviously out there in the public as a known thing. But the chairman periodically meets with the security folks and we look for compliance to be within whatever's funded from the tax. Any questions? Almost feel like I'm asking you, are there any questions? Because we're not going to answer them.
If I could, sir, I will comment that my son goes to one of the schools that has an open gate at all the entrances, and it's a pretty phenomenal system, considering.
Trying to figure out where to get this.
Yeah, I've got you have a son there. I have grandkids there. That shows the difference. But yeah, their reaction to that is exactly the same.
Yep.
No big deal. We're glad it's there. So, the technology projects update, Patrick.
Good evening. Oh, work some magic? What do you got?
Make the notes go away.
Oh.
You come in real close to the microphone, Patrick.
Yes, okay. Good evening. My name is Patrick Way. I'm with Director of Infrastructure Services, IS Division. Appreciate the time here to give you some updates with regard to our last quarter here. We've had quite a few more completions. We've had about 7 technology updates and 12 security updates related to technology. Our security updates are all about access control, intrusion, badge swiping, and alarming. So we've done quite a bit of work there, usually around 7, but quite a bit more this time. You'll note that we got the beach done with all that. Everybody's pretty happy with all the results of the beach. One of our great focuses over the last quarter, so that was really nice to have completed. Our interactive panels got even more activity over the last month, or quarter, excuse me, about 12 of those that we've completed. Happy to report that Challenger Middle is actually the last of our interactive board updates, and we can say now that every school has interactive panels, and we kind of migrated from all of our interactive smart boards from close to 5 years ago. That was a 7-year project that we had in place, and you can imagine when you install a few for the first couple years and then you get a call from somebody else, when will I get mine, and you have to say 5 years. So it was really nice to expedite that, and it's nice to say that that's everywhere now. We have Fort Myers Tech College is the only place left. When that construction is done, we will reinstall those boards and we're live everywhere. So that's a great completion to that project. Anybody have any questions?
Estimated lifespan of those boards?
We're going to run 7 years is the warranty. They can run longer, so when we reach about that time, we'll take a pulse on kind of the failure rates and what we've been doing there and make a plan to refresh those boards with whatever the newer technology is. We'll have to probably go out for another request for proposal in ITN to do that.
Other questions? All the committee may not be aware, but part of the presentation to the community notes that we're in the top 1%, I think was the percentage, in the country as to the percentage of students that have their own Chromebook for learning purposes, which is pretty neat. And a lot of that has been enabled, and a lot of this has been enabled with sales tax dollars. It's a big deal, big deal. So, thank you,
So
Patrick.
if you don't mind me inserting my comments here, I was just attending the
FSBA conference in Tampa with all of the other districts in the state of Florida. And if you could see the envy of the other districts when we said every kid in Lee County has a Chromebook, it would be telltale. So that is congratulations to our districts and our technology team across the board for being able to utilize that tool for all of our children.
We're the envy of many districts, let's put it that way.
Thank you. Capital maintenance projects update. Any more questions for Patrick? We let him off the hook pretty easily.
Great.
Barbara? Nope, that's not Barbara.
No, not Barbara.
Maintenance projects. Sorry about that, Frederick.
No, that's all right. I'm here representing Barbara and her team and some of the great work they do. This next slide depicts some of their capital projects. If we can get the slide back up. Depict some of the capital maintenance projects that the maintenance staff are working on. A little different depiction than usual. I think their goal is to kind of show you the progress that's getting made. So, for example, on this slide, the red indicates what was presented at the previous ISSOC meeting, and you can see now with the yellow what it has been started and going on since that time. So basically, since the last meeting where 9 projects were ongoing, now 20 24 are going, and some of those key areas, we talked about HVAC earlier, also those chiller upgrades, flooring upgrades, lighting, definitely moving to more energy efficient, window upgrades, always trying to protect the envelope of a building. Pictures there, you can see that was the Norfolk Myers Academy of the Arts flooring upgrade project, and then some cabinetry upgrades there at San Carlos Elementary. Trying to depict the same information, but now dollars instead of number of projects, showing how expenditures are moving and getting going. There is somewhat of a lag sometimes in terms of when the actual PO hits based on when the project starts, but in general right now they have $14.4 million in capital maintenance projects moving forward at this time between, I guess, since the beginning of the fiscal year until December. And that will continue to grow as additional projects continue to move through their scoping stage and execute POs. And then lastly, showing it to you by school level, I'm kind of showing you those same $14.4 million in expenditure in those projects now depicted by each individual school level and then the special centers. So just want to break it down several different ways to show you how the projects are moving forward and will continue to move forward in future presentations, and then also how the breakdown by school level. So that was a depiction of the work done by our maintenance department on capital maintenance projects as it relates to the sales tax. Any questions?
Questions? I have one question just out of interest. What's the percentage of LED or fluorescents that have been changed to LED in the district, or don't we know, or is that in process?
Yes, that is in process. I could get you that number. Don't have it off top.
Off the top of your head, is it a significant number, or are we gaining on that?
I'd hate to guess.
Yeah.
I can get you an accurate number.
The only reason, I just finished doing mine at my home myself. I was standing on my aluminum ladder, but I did turn off the breaker. And it's not that big a deal to do to switch them out, and it does really cut down on usage. So. Other questions? Thank you. Financial budget and revenue forecast, Matt Acosta. Or is that Acosta? Did I blow that?
It's Acosta.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. So this first slide we're looking at is our FY24 estimated capital revenue. This has not changed since our last meeting. We're at $383.3 million estimated for this year. This does not reflect fund balances. This is new capital revenue, and you'll see of that, a third is from sales tax, or $126 million. Our next slide is our sales tax budget of $280 million, and you can see how that breaks down. Currently, you'll see that there is a reserve of 30%. If we look at last year, that was at 9%. That's because we are still in the process of approving projects. As those projects are approved, they get moved from the reserve into their respective categories. So hope is that by our next meeting, you will see that more accurately reflect what is historically been the reserve. And here you'll see a comparison year over year by month for revenue earned. You can see we are tracking pretty closely with FY23. We have, I think when we look at the budget, we've seen that we, in the past, have estimated maybe lower conservatively to what we received. And I believe if we look through these slides that we are coming to where we're matching what we're estimating. So we're getting closer to connecting our estimates to what we're actually seeing. Here you'll see our sales tax revenue, both inception to date, FY23, and our current FY24 results. From inception to date, we're about 10.6 above projected. And for the year, for FY24, we are about 12.5. This does include a $4 million discretionary payment that was earned in 23, but has been recorded in 24. And so we are leaving it in 24 for our presentation. And our last slide here is just to show you the projected for FY24, projection of 126 million, and that we are currently at 40 million received. All right.
Thank you. Any question?
I have a question about cash management.
Yes.
As you head into this year, what's your...
Microphone, Chris. Sorry.
I'm trying to talk.
I know. Pick it up. It'll go in your hand.
To yell at me from the back. Do you have a cash balance associated with the sales tax? Do you segregate the funds and keep it in separate accounts? And what, heading into FY24, what was the cash balance? I see the budgeted balance was 126 million, and you're going to collect 126, so you're talking about 250 million over the course of a year. Of course, you're going to expend a bunch, but what's your carrying balance in the sales tax revenues?
Yeah, so to your first question, we have our sales tax separated by fund so that it's always tracked differently, and we have our specific sales tax projects so that we can keep track of that, and they're never mixed with the other capital projects. And so that's how we're able to just keep track and make sure that we accurately reflect what is being expensed from sales tax. As far as you talk about our reserve, what we have historically.
What have you collected or are holding and haven't spent yet?
So as far as the actual cash balance with, its investment earnings, we could definitely bring that information back to the next meeting, and I assume you're referring to at the beginning of this fiscal year. Is that what the question is?
No, I'm getting to the question. The question then becomes what you just answered. Like, what are you earning on the balance that you're carrying forward? So you have $126 million coming forward, and you're suggesting only $500,000 in interest. You're getting 5 basis points on your money. Where is the money invested? If interest rates or a T-bill is at 5% and you're carrying $100 million, wouldn't you earn $5 million in interest this year? I'm not saying you can get 5% or put it in T-bills, but right. With interest rates rising, are you getting more money? And the follow-up question is that money adding to the budget that we can do more with because interest rates are higher?
So yes, so the investment vehicles that we have our sales tax in are a few, and so we could definitely, according to our investment policy, because everything that we put in invest has to adhere to our investment policy, and first and foremost in the investment policy is the preservation of principal. And so very, very low to no risk type investments are where we put them inside of SBA or the state board, and also with local government investment funds, right? So long-term investment pools, things of that nature. So it can definitely bring back to the next meeting what the investment vehicles are that we currently use for sales tax specifically what the rate of return was on those particular funds over the past year and or two. And then also, yes, those dollars do go back into this pot in order to be reinvested on the sales tax plan itself. I'm not sure if we show it here in the information that you're looking at, but today on the slideshow, but on the sales tax plan itself, yes.
We'll show the actual.
Yes, so on the report budget to actuals, you will see the interest income and also like the unrealized either gains or losses that we have, that we show as well unrealized, right? But we just book them as we go along as per the GASB as we're supposed to show. But you'll see the interest income that shows on that budget to actual report, and then also on the sales tax plan itself, long-term plan, we show what the interest income we project to receive through the plan. So yes, it does get invested back into the pot, so to speak.
Okay, Chris?
Yeah, I'd like the number, I mean, if it's $126 million coming into the year, and the budget says we're gonna receive $500,000, I mean, if we had it in a risk-free T-bill.
It's important to recognize that, yeah, in the difference between the expended and the collected, a number of those funds are committed to projects that are ongoing, so that there's a pretty good drain that continuously happens, so the opportunity to do any long-term investing is a little tough.
That's fine, I don't know what the district policy is, and that's fine, but it should be more than
right 5
basis points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. I mean, if they put it in a money market account somewhere, just 3%, 4 or 5, you're probably not going to get 5% in the bank money market today, but you could easily get 3% for those balances. Good question.
Amy, are the sales tax funds kept and invested separately from other funds of the district, or is there a consolidated investment policy in which the funds are commingled and invested?
So all idle funds are invested, so they're all invested, but as far as the sales tax funds, yes, they are invested in separate account and tracked separately. It might be the same account as some others, but same investment vehicle, I should say, but they're tracked in a separate account.
I think the message that we want heard from the discussion is, staff, let's take a look at making sure we're earning the most amount of money we can with the balances that we have in the interim between when they're collected and they have to be expended.
Understood. Yes, absolutely.
Any other questions? I might point out to the committee there's an interesting number that the inception to date on page 12 of your packet. Originally, the projection was $431 million worth of revenue, and it's now 478, which is about 10% over the projections. You know, every time we experience inflation, that 6.5% is applied to the inflated number as well, and that would kind of bring those numbers to really fall in line with what our expectation might be. The annual budgets for every year, the budget projection is updated, but over the long haul, it lags. So those numbers really match up as to what might be logical in the mind, assuming the first projection was good, and it's proven to be pretty good. Other questions? I would entertain motions with regard to the financials and the projects. The first motion would be something along the line, if you are comfortable with making a motion that the financial reports, a motion that the financial reports as presented by the administration, in our opinion, conform to what the requirements of the voters approved in the legislation they approved. Legislation may be the wrong word, surtax. Could I have that motion from someone if you so desire?
So moved, Harlan.
Thank you, Harlan.
I'll second that.
I thought we were going to be here a long time for a while.
Not sure what your motion
Harlan.
was, but I'll second whatever that motion was.
Is there any discussion on that?
Can I ask a clarifying question on the financials?
Yes.
Riverdale High School, we mentioned, was $69 million project, but in the financials, it says somewhere around $33 million. Is there another 33 that hasn't been budgeted, or is it a 33 million from the sales tax and a $69 million total budget?
When we look at some of these construction projects, we're actually looking at
what page of the report? That'll be helpful to him, Chris.
On the first page of the financial report, under budgeted construction improvements, the actual expenditure for Riverdale was 1.7 million in 23, and a budget of $33 million in 24. Is there another 30 after that, or is it a total budget from the sales tax of 30?
I think Riverdale is a phased project, and the first phase involves, and I may get these wrong, a new gym and additional parking, and then there's a second phase following it that renovates a significant number of classrooms. I'm pretty sure I have that right. That may be why we're seeing a difference in the numbers.
Yeah, and as Mr. Atkins said, that's in that phase, 69 million for that phase. I'm just trying to reconcile between.
Yes, if I might, the phase 2 cost of I think it was phase 2, that 2A, that we showed on there, 69 million. That's the total committed for the phase, which might take more than a year, right? So I believe what we are seeing on here is what we've.
At a 25 budget, you'd show another 30.
Exactly, so because it is phased, as Mr. Schimpf was saying, we might also have some additional expenditures for Riverdale that was in a previous year than what is showing. I'm not sure if we do or we don't, we could pull that. But that phase 2 cost may go beyond just the year that we are referring to or showing in this particular report.
So at 70 million, 69 million is coming from the sales tax for Riverdale.
Right.
In our first year, was the woman who came to the committee from speaking on Riverdale?
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
Was that Riverdale or was it
Yes.
Lehigh?
That was Riverdale.
She was.
I guess it was Riverdale,
It
yeah.
was
Yes.
It was not on
Yep.
our
It was
radar.
not.
And we referred her to the construction
$7
plan.
million.
Yep.
Good for her.
Back to the motion. Any other comments with regard to the motion? The motion was to approve the financial report as being in conformance with what the voters approved. I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. 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 Thank you. And I would entertain a motion regarding to the projects as to whether the projects that have been reported and in the opinion of the committee are in conformance with the 4 areas that were laid out within what the voters approved. Would someone please make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
That was Cole and Chris. All in favor, or any discussion? All in favor? Please signify.
Aye.
Aye? I think that was unanimous. Future meeting date, December 7th. Shows up here, and that is today, and we appreciate you all making the next meeting. Yes, we got that one right. When is our next meeting? Is it on it's on the agenda, right? March 28th at 6 p.m. will be our next meeting. And before we have a motion to adjourn, I'd just like to say all Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. It's a wonderful time of year. And let's all enjoy our families, and, you know, God bless us all and our families, and keep the people in the district in our prayers, and just be thankful for all the things we enjoy. This is a pretty neat thing we're working on here, so thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Motion, second, we're adjourned. Thank you.